What's going on, guys?
Hey, Tony.
Hi.
Good. How are you?
I'm doing all right. Doing okay over here.
Tony, let's talk about your style and your tattoos before we start our talk, because I think the audience wants to know who you are and what kind of tattoos you are doing.
Okay, yeah. I guess I would classify myself or consider myself more of like an illustrative neo-traditional artist. I at times try to slide a little more traditional stuff in my work, but I think I'm progressing more to an illustrative neo-traditional style. A lot of my influences come from artists from like Spain, a lot of Australian artists, and of course a lot of artists here in America. You know, just seeing so much amazing neo-traditional pieces coming out every single day from some of the most amazing artists. Like, it just pushes me to want to get to that level of, you know, throwing details in I would have never thought of doing like a few years ago, making things look a certain way. So I feel like I pull a lot from like comic books. Like, I feel like to me my work feels a little comic book illustrative, and then with a touch of neo-traditional feel to it. At least in my eyes, that's kind of the way I go and the way I look at things. I've always been a fan of like comic book art, so I feel I draw a lot from that, pull a lot from that kind of stuff.
Can you show us the first tattoo you made?
Oh man,
If you
I
can't remember,
can actually
it
show you
should be a
that.
while
It's
ago.
because it's on me.
It's on you.
Oh, really?
It's
That's-
Drop your
it's
pants.
like business me as well.
Same
Hold on
shit.
1 second. How do I flip
Just to
this
let you
thing?
know, it's after 11 p.m. in Germany, so you can drop your pants.
Nice.
So that was the first one here, and I didn't learn from my mistakes. This was straight, no stencil, no nothing. And then I went and I did this guy, and then I did this one like within the first, I don't know, it was like within a couple of hours. And it's funny that you say that, because my wife, actually, she's a tattoo artist herself. Her name's Eloise Gerard, Black Bubblegum dot tattoo on Instagram. She was making fun of me for the top one because there's no name in the banner, and she's like, you know, are you ever gonna put a name in there? And I was like, maybe not. But those were my first three, so you can see where I've kind of grown as an artist, because those are terrible tattoos.
Oh, with names and tattoos, that's a difficult situation. A good friend of mine, on the first time I met him, he was like, I got the name of my big love tattooed on my arm, and I was like, fuck that. And then he was lifting his shirt, and it was like a microphone and rock and roll. Well, and then I was like, okay,
Yeah.
that's alrighty, but otherwise that would be senseless. Let's jump in one of your tattoos you sent to Madeline so we can talk about your style directly and which equipment you're using. It's a back piece.
So the equipment that I'm using right now is the TERRA, and I'm using the the PU power supply unit that you guys have? The ones that you're actually giving away
that one?
right there. Yes,
The small one?
amazing. I love that.
The Power Unit 4?
Yes, there you go. Power Unit 4. I was brutalizing the name. So I'm using the TERRA, and I'm using that as a combination. I have never used a better machine in my career that compares to the TERRA. Hands down, I think it's the best machine, at least for what I do. One day, I actually was doing a guest spot over at Till Death, and Jonathan let me use his TERRA. He was like, dude, check it out, try it, you know, and within the first maybe 20 minutes, I already knew. I was like, I need to get this machine. It made me work faster, more consistent. I mean, I'm talking like it was like effortless, the way I would like, you know, touch the skin and like ink was there. Like I barely did anything and it was like already saturated really well. So I tend to tattoo pretty fast. Like I feel like the speed that I go, I need machines to be able to like keep up with me. And it's kind of hard when looking for rotaries that can allow me to do that. And the TERRA, I've never had it. I mean, I'm talking, I could use a type 3 up to a 15 round from you guys, and it's every single one goes in one pass. I never have to like go over lines. Even with shading, I could use the smallest mag to like a 23 mag. I've never used anything higher than that, but even up to a 23 mag, every single cartridge I've used, it pushes through so effortlessly. So yeah, that's my like go-to right now until I could give that Soul Nova Unlimited a try. That Soul Terra is my go-to every single day.
I have a question for what about the healing from the Soul Terra? Do you have any experience? Is it more
Tony is the one in the group now who's working with it every day. So
yeah, I've to this day, since I've switched to the Soul Terra, I've never had almost every single one of my tattoos heals really well. Not trying to do a plug here, but I also use Fusion ink in all my work, and I've always felt that like with that ink and the equipment that I'm using, it allows my tattoos to heal really well. And generally, like a lot of my clients tell me that their tattoos heal faster than when they've gotten tattooed previously by other artists. I don't know if it's just the way that I'm like, you know, I really pay attention to the skin. I make sure I don't overwork skin in any way. I try my hardest to, if I notice the skin's getting a little roughed up, I'll just tell them like, hey, you know, we're gonna back off of this spot, maybe do another session and finish that area. But I feel like I'm very easy on the skin. The Soul Terra allows me to do that because of the settings that it has and the motor that's in there. It allows me to not be so abrasive to it. But I feel like a lot of it has to do with my aftercare. I use the skin tax. I use the recovery skincare, the film that allows the tattoo to heal on its own, so the client doesn't have to do much. Also, it's not allowing the client to either do too much ointment or not enough ointment, things like that. They don't have to worry about that. It kind of lets the tattoo heal on its own. So since switching to the Soul Terra and using those aftercare skin films, I feel like my tattoos have been healing amazing within the last like year and a half, 2 years. Like all of my tattoos are coming back, healed really well. No hard healing, nothing like that. Like, I mean, it's healing quick. I do a lot of armpit tattoos also. I thought those would actually take a long time healing, and I get clients to tell me like, oh man, in like 4 days it was peeled, done, no problem. So I really love the way this machine runs. Allows everything to be better. The healing, the actual process of the tattoo, all of those things.
I have somebody who's asking, Tony, you're doing a lot of Marvel and DC stuff tattoos. Do you also like those like Marvel tattoos? Yeah, like Marvel, DC.
I'm a huge Marvel fan. Not the biggest DC fan, but huge Marvel fan. I have maybe done like one Marvel tattoo ever. I hardly ever like. I mean, I don't. It's funny because I see a lot of tattooers get asked for a lot of like pop culture or, Marvel or DC or things like that. I hardly ever get asked to do that stuff. Like very, very rare will someone ask me for like something from a movie or a specific character of any kind. I know other artists that get asked for like tons of anime stuff, and I never get asked for it. So I hardly ever do those types of tattoos. Not saying I'm against it. Like if somebody came to me and asked for some sort of Marvel or DC tattoo, in a heartbeat, I'd love to do it. But I just never get asked for it very often.
What makes you happy to tattoo with Cheyenne tattoo equipment?
Simple. It is, and this is not being biased in any way. It literally is the best tattoo equipment that I have used to this day. I just feel it works so well for the type of tattooing I do, for the speed that I like to work at. Just everything, since switching to this, I've noticed that like my lines have cleaned up a lot more. The saturation in my pieces are better. The healing process is better. and then again, the other thing is, since I've switched to Cheyenne, I haven't replaced my machines the way I've had to replace other machines. I won't say names of other machines, but other machines, I get one and I'm like, man, this is a great machine. Either a few months later or maybe a year later, I'm having to buy another one. And I hope I'm not jinxing myself with saying this and now, my machine messes up. But since my first Cheyenne hot pen, that thing lasted 3 years before it started to get any kind of like weird fluctuation in volts or whatever. Like that thing was a daily driver for minimum 5 hours a day, every single day almost, and never had problems. I've had my Soul Terra now for a while, and almost every single day I tattoo. I maybe take a day off a week, if that, and it produces every single time consistently. And I cannot complain. The quality of the machines, the quality of the power units, and the cartridges, everything. Like, you can just tell that the care is really put into them, and that you guys really care about the artists using them and the clients that we're using them on. Like, it's just across the board, it is the best equipment I've used, like, hands down.
Always great to talk with you.
Stay healthy, man.
Take care.
You too.
See you
Bye, man.
soon,
See
buddy.
you.
Bye.
Bye.